Good evening, everyone. I am Tamara L., and welcome back to another installation of Just Another Messenger, where we raise the situational urgency and consciousness regarding today's current event. Now, America, we are at a pivotal point in this society where we can no longer just ignore, hide, and escape the past, which tells our current present circumstances and a great prediction of our future. So this is what we're going to do at Just Another Messenger. On each episode, we're going to dive deep into the historical past by examining the philosophies, legal systems, as well as the political decisions that continue to influence our daily lives. Now, what if I told you that your city, your neighborhood, even your sense of local government is being quietly erased? Not by war. There's no bombs dropping in the United States. Not by votes. The votes have already been cast. The vote of confidence has taken place and awarded Donald J. Trump, the 47th president of the United States, but by a global planning document signed decades ago. I mean, we're talking about decades ago now, which means that the planning of colonization didn't start in 1783, and it never stopped. It continued, which means that this isn't science fiction here. You know, this is Agenda 21. It's Project 2025. It's Agenda 30, as well as Project 50. These are the documents that are on the table, and it's being implemented right now through a quiet reorganization of America into mega regions. And we're going to talk about that. That's what we're talking about. We're going to break down the hidden structure behind the UN's agenda of Agenda 21, Project 2025, Agenda 30, as well as Project 2050, and how the U.S. is quietly being redivided into massive mega regions, undermining state borders, local governance, and your rights as well. That's why we said, welcome to the core district here. Now, we're going to cover that all in this topic. So I want you to stay tuned because you won't hear about this on your evening news. That's why Just Another Messenger is your alternative digital news outlet. So please join the conversation throughout this episode as we move forward. And also don't forget to hit the subscribe button over on YouTube if you haven't done that yet. And as we go on through the broadcast, hit that like button, share to be a part of the thought-provoking conversation. You don't want to miss this. And we're going to go ahead and put up our banner so you can have information on how to continue to support us throughout this endeavors. Like I say, you can subscribe, share, and like over on our YouTube page that we're on now at Just Another Messenger. If you're on our YouTube page, if you're on my personal page, which is on Tamara L, please share, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to do the same thing on the YouTube page. We're also on X as well at JAM, JAM _404 podcast. Also, we're on Pinterest now at Just Another Messenger podcast. And if you are someone you know would like to be a part of the show, please feel free to send them our email. They can reach us at JustAnotherMessengerPodcast@gmail.com. And please support our alternative news outlet through our Cash App at $Just Another Messenger. So that information is up there on the screen, and we're going to move that out so we can go ahead and just continue forward with getting going for the day. And don't forget, we have our news outlet. We're also on Substack for our digital newsletter, and we just launched our Providence Press over on Stan Store. So that is stan.store/Providence Press. And you can purchase also give you information on some of our digital books that we have that was rolled out this week as well. So before we do that, let's just have a quick little break before we really get into this. All right. right, we are back. We are back. We are back. And let's get started with today's episode. We have quite a bit information to go over. Now we're talking about the core district. Why is this titled the core district? Let's think about that. We have been talking in the news. There's been talk about birthright citizenship. So if Donald Trump is talking about challenging birthright citizenship, which is the 14th Amendment, that would now make you a part of a district. You would now be put into a category of being a citizen of a district. So that's why this is titled the core district. What core district is the United States attempting to put its citizens in? And we're going to show you the defining lines that have been laid out of the 10 core districts that they are attempting to create. Now, sometimes when things are shown, a lot of times there's talks about what's going on, but there's rarely any communication about how could these things that are detrimental to your freedom, to your individual sovereignty, how could they hurt your individual sovereignty? We never have those discussions. But first, let's talk about what's on the table here. Let's get into that. We're going to talk about the core district, 15 minutes from everything and miles from freedom as we dive deep into the real agenda behind Agenda 21, Project 2025, Agenda 30, and Project 2050, and why your city may already be a part of this plan. Now, we have to ask ourselves, is this sustainability or sovereignty being stripped away? I want you to be a judge of that. But before you start judging, let's see who are in the house. I know we're a little light right about now. We may have some watchers over on my YouTube page over there. I don't have the ability to see. So if not, go ahead and put your comments on the YouTube, on my personal page on Tamara L. If you're on my YouTube, please shout in, say hello. Hello, Born One. So as you can see on the bottom, all your messages as you communicate throughout the episode will show up at the bottom of the screen. We have turned that on so to be a part of the broadcast. All right. So let's get into this right here for today. Let's get into the disclaimer. The views, opinions, and thoughts are the protective expression of Tamara L. for storytelling and educational purposes and does not provide statutory counseling for any United States color of law jurisdictional proceedings. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, we are locked in. We are locked in. Hello, Robin, my friend from Wilmington, Delaware. Thank you for tuning in this evening. Get in here, get in here, get in here. Let's go with this. Let's look at this map right here. Let's look at this map when we talk about mega regions, and we're going to get into the understanding of that. If this map that outlines about mega region, it gives you a picture of the clustering of what the United States and the UN is attempting to put into place in America, to have people clustered into these regions, and that is for control. That is for population control, commerce control, as well as control of the borders and things of that nature. So let's get into, let's look at this Agenda 21 and what is it? Agenda 21 is a 300-page action plan adopted by over 170 countries, including the United States, at the 1992 United Nations Earth Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, these agendas have been going on for a long time. Now, the 21 stands for the 21st century. These are forecast plans that were put in place for these things to take place. And officially, it's about sustainable development. Let's kind of put a questionable mark about sustainable development, because all this is questionable. But beneath the surface, critics argue it's about centralizing control over land, resources, and population. Now, what resources are we talking about? We're talking about the people. We're not just talking about water and air resources. We're talking about the people as well. So we're talking about the people as resources within this population. This is about population control, controlling the citizens. They're saying you're too spread out. We don't know who you are. So this is a way to try to control the people. So this agenda has been going on, like I said, since 1992. too. This is so when a lot of people say, oh, we need to go to the UN for our protection. The UN is not a protectorate of anyone. The UN is a part of the agenda of usurpation, colonization, and control. So let's continue to look in this and dive into this. Now, let's look at how the different features between Agenda 21 and Project 2025 stacks up against each other. This is ideological origin. It's globalist, the UN. In Agenda 21, it's a globalist under the UN. For Project 2025, it's a nationalist, conservative Christian rights. So this is dealing with Donald Trump and the MAGA and all those. Now let's look at also the core goal of Agenda 21, sustainability through global planning, whereas Project 2025, right-wing authoritarian consolidation. The method of control, regulation via local global bureaucracy. Project 2025, that executive orders, personnel replacement. That is taking place as we speak with President Trump. Public messaging, green future. Project 2025, restore American greatness. Threat to local autonomy, yes, via urban mega regions, land use laws. This is controlling the land. This is colonization 3.0. Project 2025, yes, via federal overreach and pre-exemption. This is land control through private ownership. So when there was a run, we're gonna blow that part out. So let's put in a file cabinet control of land by whom. Now, over the past 4 years since Bureau of Land Management, yes, housing, urban development, HUD, yes, all of that is a part of it. Now, let's think about in 2020 when we had that going on, right? So when that little epidemic was going on in 2020, there was a boom. There was a housing boom that took place. Housing boom took place with the housing prices. There was a lot of selling going on, and then the housing prices soared between 2020 and 22, 23. The housing prices soared about 40% in price. However, who was buying those properties? Who were buying those properties? Yes, investors, BlackRock, things of the nature. They were buying up all the properties. It was very hard for individuals to buy those houses because a lot of individuals was being priced out of the market. They were being priced out of the market because the housing prices were soaring so fast. It literally was pricing individuals out of the ability to be able to purchase. But they were doing this. This was being done systematically for these privatizations owners to own these properties. Now that push a lot of people into the urban area. A lot of people now was not able to be spread out more. It stopped the spread of people moving out into the rural areas, in which will increase congestion and things of that nature. And it forced people, because the price of houses in the rural areas was just as expensive as in the urban area. So it now forced people to stay clustered in the urban areas because the housing prices in the rural areas was much, much higher as well as in the urban areas. This was systematically done by design. Like I said, this is based out the framework of Project 2025 to control the land. So all these investors, these companies, these private organizations, they are lock, stock, and barrel in connection with controlling the people with the government. They are a part of this agenda. So when you see these large corporations, Facebook, BlackRock, these investing things, that they are all at the table. They are all a part of creating the core districts, creating the population control. So like I said, eugenics 3.0, they are all a part of this. And so we're going to continue on forward with that. So that's where we said threat to local autonomy came in, federal overreach and pre-exemption. Now, digital surveillance with not being able to, yes, privatization of war, silent weapons for quiet war, absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what's taking place. Now, if you look at digital and surveillance tools, if the people are not spread out, let's look at this. If the people are not spread out in these rural areas, it's harder to track people in their home that's 100 miles off the easement of the city municipalities. You have a lot of pressure being placed on a lot of municipalities, such as resources of water, being able to have the water flow to these different rural regions. And so it pulls away from the urbanization, but it also pulls more to the rural area, and it's harder to create digital surveillance and tracking in the rural area, as opposed to people are more clustered into the urban city areas that's going to be designed for these mega regions. So that's another reason that the digital surveillance is important. And that's why you see now you have your data, you have the creation of Doge. We're just going to connect the dots. We're just going to go full circle and connect the dots. You have the Doge Department of Government Efficiency going in and extracting data to be able to create these surveillance models, to be able to know what all the different citizens are doing in all these different mega regions, how they're spending their money, debts not being procured and things of nature, and how to be able to now control the flow, or be able to take what they feel is due. So surveillance is harder in rural areas as opposed to urban areas. So that's why there are a need to buy up everything, for the investors to buy up all the different housing in the rural areas and push the people back to the urban areas, because the surveillance, as we look at digital surveillance, smart cities, ECS, technocrats, that's technology, Agenda 21, technocrats. That is what Elon Musk and the PayPal bars are. They are technocrats. That's everything being run by technology. Project 2025 deals with AI censorship, which is controlling the information that that's going to be put into AI and filtered out of AI. Right now, what happened with AI, this is what happened with AI. When they open up Gemini, they open up ChatGPT, they open up all of these open source. What happened is that, and I went to a forum about 2 years ago at Emory University, and the forum was talking about OpenAI in its inception, and how there was what they call the error ratio, and it was called lunacy, hallucination. Basically, the hallucination came from they put too much of the truth in there. So now they try to appear as if the computer is hallucinating and is a conspiracy theorist, because they put too much of the truthful information into the system, and now the system is spitting out what people never thought, that it would have took more time for people to be able to read and grasp this information. But the OpenAI source fed the information to the public, is feeding the information to the public so fast. Now they have to find a way to slow the truth down, to not awaken the people to what's going on. So when I learned that, because one of my questions in the forum was AI written in etymological understanding And the answer was no. It's coding and semantics. So which means that there's still a missing piece of understanding of the truth, even in the AI source. So just want to talk about that. Want to just give you that information. Now let's look here also. Let's look at overlap point. Let's look at top-down redesign of society for Agenda 21 and Project 2025 is a top-down redesign of the government. Right. So yeah, very deep, very deep. So let's look at Agenda 21 theme and real world manifestation. Limit rural land use. Farmers and private landowners are priced out of or regulated into selling. That was taking place heavily in 2022. You know, there was a regulation on the push to sell. Get your equity out. Get your equity out. Get your equity out. But this is one factor that a lot of people didn't take into consideration with that, with the rush to get your equity out. They say, land ownership, home ownership is your biggest asset. It's supposed to be HELOC. It's supposed to be your biggest asset. But also property ownership, land ownership can also be your biggest liability. It just depends on which side of the balance sheet that you're looking at the entire spectrum of the ownership of the estate. So one of the things that they were pushing for was for people to rush and sell. So because there was that 40%, remember we talked about that 40% increase in the rise in the profit margin of the home that you was in. So let's just say that you may have purchased your home 20 years before, and you only paid $200,000 for your home 20 years ago, and now your house is probably worth $600,000 and things of that nature. You may be, and then just say you only owe your debt pledge to the lender, to the banksters and gangsters. You probably owe about 60,000-70,000 more on the home, right? Okay, because they did amortize your payments, right? They played games with it. So why are you still owing? But you do. You owe $60,000-70,000 on there, right? So what they were doing in 2022, what they were doing in 2022 and 23 was like a rush to sell. This was the trick. If you're rushing to sell and you're pulling out about $300,000-$400,000 in equity, this is where you can get pinched at, right? I have pinched here before, but this is where you can get pinched at. Where are you going to live at next? So you go ahead and dump your property just to pull out an equity spread, but now you got to purchase again at another home and start over with 30 years at a higher margin, because now the market has increased by 40,000. So people wasn't even looking at the logic of that. They just wanted the quick money. They just wanted the quick money. So now you in a pinch where you have to purchase less home with less money to try to keep some of your profit. Now the catch will be, even if you did that and you wanted to pay off some bills or go on vacation, you're going to get pinched within 45 days, because whatever wasn't rolled over into another investment vehicle, such as insurance product or the purchase of a new home, you're going to get pinched on the taxation of that. It's called a rule of 45. So in 45 days, you're going to get heavily taxed on that profit from the sale of that estate. So a lot of people wouldn't. So at the end of the year, when they get that healthy tax bill, they don't know what to do with that, because a lot of people didn't have businesses attached to that to offset the profit and even sink that profit into a loss. So a lot of people may get hit with that as well. Yeah, that part. So let's look at it. Promote urban density. Developers push multi-family units and eliminated single family dwelling. There's a huge bust starting in 2023, and now in multifamily units being built, multifamily units being built, apartments, they're being built everywhere. And Agenda 21 theme, it encouraged public-private control. Now we're talking about BlackRock, Vanguard, and foreign investors. They buy up the housing stock. They bought up everything. They have to hold this, because if it wasn't them, you had, China was buying up everything. Just recently on the news, remember, President Trump said, we made a mistake. He said, we made a mistake. We weren't paying attention who we were selling to. Yeah, a lot of licensed agents and brokers, they were not paying attention who they were selling to. Like, I remember just a couple of years ago, I love this famous TV show. It's like one of my best TV shows to watch, HGTV. And they had this show called Buying New York. And I remember I was sitting there watching, and I was like, oh, shoot, they selling everything to China. I mean, it's like every purchaser was a foreign investor, was a Chinese investor. And I was saying, wow, but we got to start speaking Mandarin and Chinese soon, because they're going to own everything. I literally sat there and watched that and said that to myself. And that was in 2020, 21, 22, when that show was coming out. And they were all in awe about, selling these profits. Who's going to buy property 25 and 35% above market asking? You should have known that was a gook. Something was going on. They didn't see it. They were just happy to get their commission off that. They was just making in each show, in the top corner, what is it called? The header in the top part of the show, they will highlight how much the commission factor would be for that agent. And I'm saying to myself, these agents are selling out America. It's going to be called the United States of China after a while. They didn't see it. They didn't get it. Trump just announced a couple of days back and said, hey, we made a mistake. We got to figure out how we got to fix this, because we damn near sold America away to China. Trump just said that, so yeah, I saw it. Others just now figuring out, yeah, like you said, sleeper sales. Yeah. And they're going to show, like you said, after a while, we're not going to even have access to the coastal line, farming. They brought up over 50% of the farming, so there's a lot going on behind this. So it discouraged personal vehicle use. Now, this is what the 15-minute cities they're talking about. 15-minute cities, it's going to replace suburban communities with dense, walkable smart zones. And also, it restricts home ownership. The home ownership is down. Home ownership is down. I see a lot of agents and brokers publishing on social sites and everything. And I share the information, but home ownership is down, and we can talk about that too on another time regarding. So this was a corporate land grab that's taking place right now. It's still taking place, and they have built up a lot of these multifamily. They built up a lot of these single family homes, and they couldn't sell. They was probably only able to sell about 3 or 4 of them out of 50 or 100 they built in there, and the rest of them they had to start leasing or renting out and things of that nature. So this is what's taking place. It's the replacing of the single family home, being able to live outside of the city, rural, with the 15-minute cities and walkable smart zone. People say, I know a lot of Northerners, they're accustomed to living. Oh, that's great. No, that's not great. That's not great. That's not great at all. It restricts home ownership. First-time home buyers compete with billion-dollar REITs, which is that's real estate investments and hedge funds. Like I said, BlackRock, Vanguard, and foreign investors. You can't compete against them because they're buying way above the market asking price. And Agenda 21 is saying push for sustainable redevelopment, when real world manifestation, climate change is used to justify rezoning or buying out vulnerable land. So I know in some cities, they have a cute name. In some cities, they have cute names for moving a property off the road of the city, and it's called a land bank. But now, when you go to try to purchase as an investor, individual invest, even if you're a small investor or even an individual, and you try to go and purchase through the land bank, you're going to be met with like, once again, competing against foreign investors, RITs, Vanguard, and things of that nature. So that's what still is going to take place right there. Now let's look at Agenda 2030. Now, it's the updated global action plan that evolved from Agenda 21 that was launched by the United Nations in 2015. Now, while Agenda 21 focused on sustainable development for the 21st century, Agenda 2030 outlines 17 sustainable development goals. Underline, highlight SDGs. Write that in your body lexicon, because when you see that pop up on the news, you heard it at Just Another Messenger. And of course, the major news is not going to give you the background. And I'm going to give you we're going to get into the background of the sustainable development goals. Connect these dots, designed to reshape economy, society, and human behavior by the year 2030. So, I'm gonna tell you what's happening. This is my observation. Right? While this proxy war is taking place now, this proxy war is biblically and divinely timed. It's divine timing. Let's just say that. This proxy war is divine timing. I'm a little thirsty here, y'all. So, with this proxy war going on, right? Don't forget, the agenda is already taking place. The agenda is already, I made a mess. This agenda is already taking place. It's on the table. It's going to happen. It's not going to stop. So once they finish with this proxy war and trying to decide, did they receive the land colonization of Iran, Iraq, Libya, Syria, that zone for the control of oil. This is not just to control the people. It's to get control of the what Trump said, the liquid gold. It's to get control of the liquid gold. So keep in mind that every war that you see take place is to be able to try to control the natural resources of that land, to get to take control of that. So you got to remember, they have to get back on track with the agenda, with the America's agenda at hand. They must get back on track with America's agenda at hand. So let's continue to look at Agenda 2030. And what is Agenda 2030? It's officially a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity adopted by all UN member states in September 2015. Unofficially and critically, it's a framework for global governance, consolidating power into the hands of technocrats. Why do you think we're going to stop right there. Consolidating power into the hands of technocrats who just recently got sworn in to the United States Military Reserve. We're going to connect these. Born 144. Then we say we're going to connect these dots. And why this stuff is taking place and happening like this. People think that this is just the next day on news. This is just came out the blue and happened. No. These are blueprints. This is called, now I have a master's degree in project management, right? And we're going to look at that because I'm going to show you that. In project management, it's called SWOT analysis. These were already outlined as far as the strength, the weakness, the opportunity, and threats. That swearing in that took place of Palantir, and the other AI tech gurus that's a part of the PayPal mafia with Elon Musk and Elon Musk, he was like the data thief that went in. They sent in. He was the data thief that went in. But then you have to say, well, because they couldn't swear him in. They couldn't swear Elon Musk in, right? Yeah, Alex Carp. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now you see why they were sworn in. Now is the court district making sense? Is the 15-minute cities making sense now? What they have to still stay on America's agenda of colonization, usurpation. They still have to stay on America's agenda. Keep that foot on your neck. So while people worrying about Diddy for the past 6 weeks, you worrying about the business that don't pay you. You're not worrying about what's going on in your front door, your back door, your side door, your bunker buster, whatever. You're not paying attention to the signs. Yeah, they still have America's agenda still at play. Yeah, Peter Thiel, yes. America's agenda still is at play. It's still, I don't care how many bombs you see going over Baghdad. I don't care how many bombs you see going on. I don't care how many bombs or bunker buster and hitting empty buildings that you knew that they knew wasn't there. They knew wasn't they're there. There's nothing there. Because guess what? Any fool would know. Ain't nobody finna drop no bomb on no 3 nuclear sites. That's not just gonna affect that's affecting the whole world. So don't play them games. You ain't dropping no bunker busters on no 3 nuclear sites and it don't have a fallout on this entire earth. Stop playing games. You know that you already got the memo that they was empty. So yeah, you're not doing that. So this is why the four had to be sworn in. The train is still moving. The train is still moving. Let's look at this train. Technocrats. Agenda 3030. Concise. So everybody keep hopping on Project 2025. Project 2025 is child's play based off Agenda 2030 and Project 2050. Project 2025 is child's play. So consolidate power into the hands of technocrats, NGOs. They might as well just say spies, non-government organizations, spies. That's like in Europe or in the Slavic, they say M16s, spies. That's why they worried about sleeper cell. Why would you worry about, if you think sleeper cells, like you said, sleeper cells rising, that means you know what the sleeper cells are. If you're worried about Iran's sleeper cells rising, and you say one of the things that we have, the best advantage that we have is having the connection with Israel's intelligence agents called Mossad. That means Mossad know where these sleeper cells, these Iranian sleeper cells are. They know where the Venezuelan sleeper cells are. They know where all these sleeper cells are located at. They can literally roll up on them in a minute. It's not a secret. A lot of them are working right in the next office. Yeah, that's why Trump was able to fire some Iranian guys and Israeli guys out of the office. They're working right with them. So, but yet you're going to consolidate NGOs are nothing but they're spies on Americans. That's it. Spies on Americans and unelected multinational bodies. Unelected multinational bodies. That is foreign agents, which is AKA people like Elon Musk. Right. Under the banner of sustainability, equality, and climate action. I want you to look at that. That's 2030. Look at the difference between Agenda 2021 and Agenda 2030. Launched in 1992, Agenda 2021 at the Rio Earth Summit. Agenda 2030 launched in 2015 under the UN Sustainable Summit. Agenda 21, long time open end goals. Look, Agenda 2030, the deadline is 2030. This 2025. So why people worrying about 2025? That 2025 is the bust down. It's the breakdown. So when you break something down, you can't leave it break down. You got to build it up. This is the build up. This is the 5-year projection plan from 2025 to 2030. Agenda 2021 was focused on land use and urban planning. I said, forget your urban planning. Agenda 2030 is based on broader, includes gender, tech, and governance. Why you think Trump said there's only 2 genders? We're not doing that. We can't put that in a database. We can't roll up on you. See, let me tell you something now. My master's degree is in project management with a concentration in information technology. Let me tell you something about a database. A database it's like a grid. So if you know Excel, the background of it is in grids. You have your columns and you have your rows. That's the buildup of any system on the back end of it. Now, when you creating a command, such as in the command prompter, I would encourage anyone to go take a SQL class to learn how to extract data or know what data is being extracted. In that way, when you look at something, or even if someone is saying something, you can see where the data extraction came from. And I think that's what happened. A lot of people can't see where the data is coming from. Just like there was a situation that took place when they were saying that the Supreme Court allowed those to have access to the Social Security number. There was a big uproar. Now, this is what I can't understand about the Democrats. And this is what I can't understand about even some Republicans. I don't care what side. I'm just saying the humanistic part of it, period. But they're just saying the people in governance, because I don't care. The bird is a bird. A bird is a bird. So this is what I'm not understanding. I don't understand how people could sit in a lie. I don't understand that, because these people know damn well that Social Security number is not yours. You are well aware that Social Security number belongs to the United States government. That's the first word. If you take that number and turn it over and look on the back, that is the first sentence. This card belongs to. Well, if the card belongs to the Social Security Administration, that means the number on the card belongs to the Social Security Administration. So that's why the Supreme Court allowed Elon Musk to go and get the data for the Social Security numbers, because it's not yours. I think when people start learning the difference between what's public and what's private, you'll understand the different arguments throughout the years of liberation that's been going on, to understand who's who and what's what, and how you're being put into a system of servitude. And it's through your own willingness. Let's make this clear. Your willingness comes from not knowing, and your not knowing comes from a systematic indoctrination. So it's no holding. But when you learn these things and you hear these things, reject not sound wisdom. This is not the time to reject sound wisdom, because the building is on damn fire. The building is on fire. You got to learn who you are. It's very vital to know who you are. You're not Black. And I mean, I hear this 100 million times. You're not Black. You're not Negro. You're not colored. You're not African American. You're not Indian. You are who your foremothers are, without doubt or contradiction. You have to, it's imperative to learn who you are, because that's what this fight is about. The true essence of who you are and who everyone is. If you don't, if we keep failing that test, we're going to keep staying in the position that we're in. That's what this fight is about. Who's who and what's what. That's what it's about, people. I can't make this more plainer. It's a lot of sleepless nights. Sometimes I just don't want to log on just to talk, because a lot of people are not listening. They rather listen to who did it, got screwed, or who got peed on or doo-dooed on. They rather listen to that. They rather listen to who shot who screwing who unalive who. They rather listen to everything but what can save their life and their family, their children, their children. They rather listen to everything else but the truth. And you know, it's sad. It's sad. It's real sad. And I'm just going to keep talking to those who want to hear and those who want to be liberated. So now let's look at this. The focus on land. Okay, the broad, mostly the Agenda 2020, mostly advisory. Agenda 2030, integrated into corporate banking, education, and national policy frameworks. Now, I know a lot of people these companies are reorging. They are the banking. There's a banking war going on between the IMF, BRICS, in all the different nations, and against the dollar, trying in an attempt to destabilize the dollar. National policy. I'm not sure if people even aware that there is a call for a constitutional convention to take place. Now, it's going to take about 34 states to sign on to be able to have a constitutional convention. So far, only 19. I'm gonna tell you why this is so dangerous. I'm gonna tell you why a constitutional convention in this climate. I'm gonna tell you why it's so dangerous. It's very dangerous because one of the things I will say about the framers of the United States Constitution, they studied. They was men of learned. I will say that they was esquires. They were men. They was learned men. So I will say that they studied well-settled cultural practices of the indigenous people, society, and their nations. Now, one of the nations that was studied was the Iroquois Confederacy Constitution. They used the entire framework of that constitution to develop the United States Constitution. Now, one of the things that they took out, the difference between the United States Constitution and the Iroquois Confederacy Constitution, one of the things they took out, and y'all, you ain't gonna believe this. Well, you probably will, because you can feel the environment of it. They took out matrilineal principles. What do you mean, Tamara? They ushered in patriarchy, being a patriot. That's man rule. The Anishinaabe, aka Iroquois Confederacy Constitution, that was matriarch rule. The lineage was passed through the woman. That's why it's called inheritance in her. The estate is through the woman. I advise you to Google Iroquois Confederacy Constitution and just read it for yourself. Now, the other well settled laws of nature that they studied was laws of nature, laws of nation through Emmett Vitale, and that was dealing with international law. Now, the danger with today's climate, you got racial constructs. Racial construct was not a part of the framework and makeup of the U.S. Constitution. Also, because the framers was fighting against King James and religious persecution, they made sure in order to proclaim their sovereignty, they had to go by way of their sovereignty through divinity, which means they had to stand on whoever their God was. They claimed they stood up under their own vine and fig tree. Now, trying to usher in a constitutional convention, there could be the potential of a calamity of the removal of the religious protection, and it could usher in the mandatory acceptance of Zionism. There could be a revocation of bearing arms. It could solely go under the permission of licensing, which means that felonious acts now, because of a landmark case out of California in which Bootsy used that landmark case and said, hey, you can't hold none, even a felonious crime that is not harm a person. You haven't harmed a person. You have your right. You still have your right to bear arms. You don't need a license to do that. You still have your right to bear arms. So that's a landmark case. And it's in one of my previous videos that's on the YouTube page. There also could not only just be a question of the 14th Amendment. We're not even going to talk about them. We're going to even talk about now they're trying to evoke state laws saying no touch. Now that's like saying if a code enforcer pull you over and you touch your phone to turn on the camera, that's a felony. You could be dragged out your car. Now, that law is in violation to the supremacy clause. That could be challenged against the supremacy clause. But however, a person who's not versed in law, they have to be able to know how to move. If you don't have one of their corporate turnovers, they call them attorneys, but they're turnovers, to fight on your constitutional protection and move the case to Supreme Court and challenge is that state law, because there's no state law can supersede a federal protection against the constitutional law. You're screwed. That's why he said ignorance of the law is no excuse. I'm gonna have to put this out here. We have to get into it. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. It's no excuse. Ignorance is not bliss anymore. Ignorance is deadly. Ignorance is very deadly. It's very deadly. Jurisprudence. What is jurisprudence, Tamara? Positive law. Jurisprudence, positive law. Well, what's negative law, Tamara? Statute, codes, and ordinance. De facto. So you have a battle that goes on between the centralized government in the battle against the Constitution that was set up by the framers, that's under attack with the call for a constitutional convention. And you also have a battle that's going on with the state constitution as well. Where do your citizenship lies? Do your citizen lie in the District of Columbia, or do your citizenship lies within your state? That's the battle. That is the battle. That is the battle that's taking place here. Now, we're not talking about, I haven't even gotten to a whole nother aspect of your ancestral origin of creating your nation. That's a whole nother topic. We 56 minutes in. We hadn't got into that. I don't like to go an hour. So let me just show you the smart cities layout. Let's just talk about this. Let's talk about the smart city layout. Let's look at that map. I want to bring something else up. We may go over 10 minutes over. I hope you bear with me tonight. We may go over. I want to show you something. I want to show you something. All right, there we go. It's coming up a little slow there. All right. Come on now. Can you see it? I'm trying to get the screen here. All right. Sheesh. Now, I want you to look at this. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling fast. American 2050. This is agenda. This is Project 2050. I'm going to add this onto the YouTube link so you can have it. This is agenda. It's perspective, a prospectus. This means a forecast. It says, never before the nation's economic prospects are being threatened by global competitors, all of whom have created long-range strategies for growth and competitiveness. That's another word from saying China is on our neck. Executive summary. This is what I talk about in project management. This is one of the things you look at. You look at the executive summary here. It says the America 2050 strategy will provide a framework for the public and private policies. That's what I said. You have to know how to operate as well as a natural person, publicly and private. It said, and investments needed to accommodate the nation's growth in the 21st century. This framework is urgently needed in a time of rapid technological, geopolitical, demographic, and environmental change. As never before, the nation's economic prospects are threatened by global competitors, all of whom have created long-range strategies for growth and competitiveness. In the face of the challenges, America is flying blind. We in trouble. Why are we in trouble, people? We in trouble because of the 1992 NAFTA, North American Fair Trade Agreement, that was signed. It was initiated by Ronald Reagan and signed by what's his name? Oh my God. After Ronald Reagan. Oh gosh, Clinton. Thank you, Clinton. Yes, signed by Clinton. It say we have no national we have no national strategy to sustain our success in the face of this competition. Yeah, because you gave away the baby, the bathwater, the house, the land, everything else. America's third century urgently. So now they want to go bomb up Libya, Syria, Iran, Iraq, and all that to be able to get more resources because you done gave away everything else. America's third century urgently requires a new strategy to lay the foundation for the nation's future competitiveness, sustainability, and quality of life. The National Committee for American 2050, composed of business and civic leaders, policymakers, and regional planners, was formed in the response to this challenge. Do it say the people? Do it say the people? Nah, your ass ain't in here, but you a part of it. It said America 2050 is a developing a framework for America's future growth that identifies 10 or more emerging mega regions as the proper scale at which to make the investments that will maximize America's competitiveness and broaden opportunities for all members of our society. Now, yeah, I want to show you this. Now, look at that. U.S. population change 2020 to 2050 by county. I want to read something else. It say, did I miss it? No, I didn't miss it. I'm gonna find it. Okay. Problem statement. I definitely want to read this. Problem statement. It say our world is experiencing a transformation of historic proportions. Open markets and information technology have broken down barriers, bringing us closer to our international neighbors. Businesses have been transformed by international outsourcing, taking advantage of lower cost labor, high skilled workers, and global time difference. In America, domestic goods are being edged out by the influx of cheaper goods from China and the Far East as service industries grow to occupy a greater share of the American economy. Whether our world is getting flatter or growing smaller, these global trends have tremendous impacts on our economy, society, and environment at home. Okay, so since you outsource the labor over to China and China prosper for it, let us go and steal the Silk Roads from the Middle East. We got to get it from somewhere. We done bankrupt ourselves. Yeah, that's what that said. All right. I want to show you this. Now look at this. Rapid population growth. It say while other industrialized countries, particularly in Europe, face projected population losses in the coming 50 years, the United States is poised for tremendous growth. In a single decade, the population of the United States grew 13% from 248 million in 1990 to 281 million in 2000. The United States Census, check this out, the United States Census Bureau estimates that the national population will grow 49% from its 2000 level to reach 420 million people by 2050. Continued population growth was also bring significant demographic changes with implication. Now, demographic, what demographics are they talking about? What demographics are they talking about? Let's look at that. So while implications for the way we plan our cities, metropolitan regions, and transportation system, for example, according to Reconnecting America, the swelling cohorts of baby boomers and echo boomers. Echo boomers are 24 to 24 to 34, as well as immigrants and non-white population, as well as immigrants and non-white populations that are fueling much of Americans' projected growth are the same groups that exhibit a preference for urban living in proximity to cultural amenities, jobs, and transit. Oh, y'all ain't getting rich on the This was our society. Our frame was built this society. We got to slow this thing down. Y'all got to get up out of here. Y'all got to get us out. Y'all got to get up out of here. You see that? Look at that. Look at all that brown. Look at all that brown right there. Now you see why they corralling them up. Yeah, that's why. Look at that. U.S. trades and goods and service. Look at that. Decline. Growth in top U.S. city seaports. Barely, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, barely tipping up. Inefficient land group. Now I'm gonna go past this. I'm gonna put this on here. Look how it's talking about the traffic is gonna get worse. The traffic gonna get worse. Los Angeles, Atlanta. Let me tell you, it's a beating out here in Atlanta. Chicago, Dallas, Connecticut, Washington, D.C., Manhattan, Brooklyn. Now let's look at these mega cities, how they're going to try to put these mega cities together. This one is called a Cascadia area, and it's the vision for Cascadia links, such as South Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver, British Columbia, with high-speed rail while protecting the area's unique and pristine environment. Other strategies highlight these cities' shared high-tech comprehends commitments to environmental sustainability and creative clusters in film, music, and green building. So they're saying that's what's going to go on the Cascadia area right here. Now, that's the Cascadia area right there. Now, Northern California, they're going to cluster Northern California, the high quality of life, cultural heritage, and environmental asset of the Northern California region makes it an attractive and expensive place to live. How can sustainable land use strategies be employed while limiting the skyrocketing cost of living? So they're going to cluster this area. This is going to be a cluster. They're clustering people into this area. Southern California, they're going to cluster Southern California right here. Arizona, Sun Corridor, they're going to cluster Arizona Sun Corridor into this region right here in blue. Texas Triangle. Let me see. Texas Triangle. They're going to cluster Texas Triangle into this southern basin right here in green. All right. 10 emerging mega regions. Greater Lakes. Greater Lakes, they're going to cluster the people around the Greater Lakes area. You're going to be clustered around this area. Now, Tamara asked me about the area that's not clustered. This is the area that's going to be federal, that's going to become federal land. And I'm going to show you who got that federal land. I'll show you who, I'm not, may not be able to show you, but I can tell you who that federal land is going to be under the, that federal land is going to be, who is going to be managed by. That's the best way to put it. Look at the Northwest region. They're going to cluster the Northwest region. They're going to cluster everybody into the cities right here. Northeast region. Piedmont Atlantic. They're going to cluster the Piedmont Atlantic people into this region right here. Piedmont, as you can see, that spans from Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. They're going to cluster. That's Piedmont Atlantic area. All right. Then you got the Gulf Coast, going to be clustered into that Panhandle area right there below Atlanta. I guess that's Texas, Louisiana right there. Louisiana. They're going to cluster that area together. And Florida, they're going to cluster this area together in Florida. This is going to be the clusters, mega regions. All the regions around that, non-clustered, that's going to get reserved back to the government. All right. So that's what those areas mean. I want to show you that. Now, this is Project 2050. This is the design layout, how they're attempting to cluster the people in the mega regions into the different areas. This is how they want you to live. Intelligent transport system, multi-energy stations, smart houses. That's so they can tap into what you're doing into your houses. Like you got a smart house, they're gonna know when you come. Like now they can tap into, your Ring camera and all those different things. So all these smart homes is gonna be smart houses, so they can tap into the digital surveillance, solar panel. They can see your consumption, and if they need to take energy back from you, they can take energy back from you through the solar panels. Multi-energy stations, small, medium-sized smart buildings, smart houses, bio mass fuel, and more smart. So all this big cluster in it. Actually, if you really look at it, it actually looks like Tel Aviv. Oh, did I say that? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. If you go look at Israel, they're actually doing it over there. Yeah. So this is the home. This is the plan that they have planned for us. Now the question once again is this sustainability, or is this a removal of your sovereignty? If you're being corralled into densely tight cities that's being controlled, your transportation now being controlled because they want to eliminate the cars. When you're in these 15-minute cities, there's no cars. There's no cars in these 15-minute cities. Everybody gonna be walking, biking, or intelligent transportation system. Everything you can do in 15 minutes. 15 minutes to get to the store, 15 minutes here, but zero freedom. Zero freedom. That's the goal. Now, we're going to touch more onto this. We'll touch more onto this in next episode. I can blow this out into another episode, but I'd like to share with you. I'm very excited at what just came out. Now available, we have Sacred Selfishness, the art of loving without losing yourself. And we also have Life's Little Lessons, plus the workbook journal companion. We have that out on ebook digital load. The book print has went to print, so it's gonna waiting for that to come back before the book, the actual physical book link will go up for sale. But if you are a reader and you want a digital copy of that, you can go to our Stand store and purchase Sacred Selfishness, the art of loving without losing yourself, as well as Life Little Lessons, the workbook journal companion, as well as I wrote out my book called The Living Word. Been working on a lot of these books for the past 10, 15 years. So, but The Living Word, I started working on that about 4 years ago. And The Living Word is not just a study etymology, it's a revelation. This transformative journal takes you from the earliest utterance shaped by the mouth to the spiritual and political power of names, slang, and forgotten tongues, with chapters spanning from ancient root languages to modern internet slang, colonized speech to sacred mantra. This book reconnects language to the body, soul, and the struggle for truth. So the books are very good. Their costs very out well. So please take advantage of this body of work of information. There's also a free news article on there called Reparations or Restorations. That is the question. Please sign up to get it. You can download a free copy of that newspaper article on that as well. And how do you get this? Like I said, you can go to our store. We have stand.store / Providence Press to access this information. All right. Until then, continue to tune in every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're not monetizing on YouTube. We do not have the numbers for that. So in the interim, support our alternative digital news and news article outlets through our Cash App at $JustAnotherMessenger. And if you or someone you know would like to be a part of the show, please give them our email so they can send a friendly hello to Just Another Messenger podcast at gmail.com. Please hit the rewind, share, like, comment, and I bid you farewell this evening. Until next time, have a good evening.